Hello everyone. In Python, there is what we call lambda or what we call anonymous function. This is the topic that I'm going to discuss. But before that, please support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hit also the notification bell so that you will be notified with all the new videos that I'm going to upload in this channel. And so, what is Python lambda or anonymous function? They are just the same, lambda or anonymous function. So basically, it is a simple or one-liner function, which means it can have many arguments, but it will only have one expression. That's why it's called one-liner function. So again, it can have or it can take any number of arguments, meaning to say you can have one or two or three arguments, but the expression will only be one. So basically, it is a shortcut function. Okay, so the syntax of the lambda is very simple, as you can see here. So we have here the function name. You have to specify here the function name, and then you have to specify lambda. So function name equal and then lambda. You have to write lambda, and then your arguments. Arguments should be separated by comma if you have more than one. Okay, so you can have one or two arguments or three or more arguments. So all you need to do is, if it is more than one, you just have to separate those arguments with comma. And then followed by colon, and then your one expression. There is only one expression. Okay, so this is the syntax. All you need to do is to follow this syntax and you will not get lost. All right, so let's have an example of this. So I have here a function that returns a value. All right. Oh, by the way, if we go back here in the syntax of the lambda, the expression here, whatever is the expression here, is the return value. That's another property or that's another feature of lambda function. It returns an automatic value. Okay, so whatever is the result of the expression here, again, that's the automatic return value. There's no need for you to write the return here. All right, so you just have to put the expression and that's the automatic return value. Okay, so let's have an example of that. So here in this case, I have three functions here. We will convert these functions into a lambda function. Okay, as you can see, all these functions can return a value. Okay, so for instance, let's have this one first. I'm going to put our remarks here. Let's place some remarks here. Okay, let's make these statements here as remarks. So let's have this one here. All right, so this is a function that will have two parameters. Okay, that has two parameters and can return the sum of those two parameters. Meaning to say, when I call the function, for instance here, print, because it is only returning one value, so I can print the return value, right? So some numbers, let's say 10 and 20, all right? So N1 will take 10 and N2 will take 20, and it will give us the return value N1 plus N2. And so when I run it, it should give me, oops. Okay, so I think I have a wrong spelling. Okay, sorry about that. It should be some numbers. All right, so let's run it again. There you go. I have a 30 here. Okay, so that's how it is. So some numbers, N1, N2. So return n1 plus n2. So when I call that function, I will just say some numbers and then 2 arguments, right? So that's how it is. I will just supply 2 arguments and then it will give me the return value of the sum of those 2 numbers. All right, so let's create a lambda function using the same function sum numbers here. Okay, so let's make I'm just going to create it here. All right, so again, I'm just going to create a lambda function of this one. All right, so the reason why I am doing something like this so that you will see the difference between the lambda function and the traditional function where it returns a value. Okay, so again, when you are creating a lambda function, you just have to follow the syntax. Okay, so function name, lambda, and then followed by arguments, and then colon, and then your expression. So that's how it is. Okay, so again, I'm going to create a lambda version of this, lambda function of this. So I don't need this anymore. All right, so because I'm going to create a lambda function of this. So I'm just going to say, again, the first syntax is the function name, some numbers, right, is equal to lambda. You have to type lambda. And then your arguments. Your arguments will be n1 and n2. Since we have more than we have more than 1 arguments, so we have to separate those by comma, and then followed by colon, and then your expression. So your expression is return n1 plus n2. Okay, so this one and this one will have the same answer. So sorry, there is no return value here. Sorry about that, because I am copying this functionality here. So anyway, it should be n1 plus n2 only. All right. So it will be like this. So n1 comma n2. All right. These are the arguments. So the return value will be n1 plus n2. Again, like I said a while ago, there's no need for you to write the return keyword because the lambda function, like I said, one of its features is that it has an automatic return value. That automatic return value is actually the expression. So again, the syntax is the name of your function is equal to, and then you have to type the lambda. And then after lambda, you have to type your argument or arguments, separate them by comma if more than 1 argument or arguments, and then followed by colon, and then your expression. As simple as this. Okay, so because again, lambda function can take any number of arguments and can only have 1 expression. Okay, so when we run this program, it will have the same functionality with this function right here, right? So I'm going to run now. And as you can see, we have 30. So this is our lambda function. Okay, so just remember always the features. No? One is that it can have more than 1 argument, as many arguments as you can, all right? And then it will have only 1 expression, and that expression is an automatic return value. Okay, so as you can see here, 30. So meaning to say, n1 plus n2, it will automatically return that. All right, so as you can see, I printed the return value, some numbers 10, 20. Okay, so let's have another example. Let's say this one here. Okay, this one here. All right, so this one here is a function that returns the remarks. So as you can see here in this code here. So I will call the function get remarks, all right? And then it will have 1 parameter, which is marks. And then I'm going to test that marks, no? I mean, if you can see in this function definition here, that marks will be tested. If it is greater than 67, the rem value will have passed, no? And then otherwise, if it is not greater than 67, that means the rem value is failed, or the rem variable will have a value of failed, and then it will return rem. So it returns one value. All right. So with the function will have one parameter. Okay. So when we call that function, we will have only one argument. We will pass one argument. So we will convert this, okay, into a lambda function. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. All right. So let's have that one. So I'm just going to remarks this one first. Okay, I will make this one as comment or remarks. Okay, but we will not remove anymore our function here. Let it be like that. Anyway, again, no, when you don't call the function, it will not execute, right? So it's like that. So anyway, I'm not going to call this, so it's just fine. So again, we will make this one as a lambda function. Okay, so it has one parameter, and then it can return the value of the rem variable. Okay, so again, syntax of lambda function. First is the name of the function. All right, and then followed by lambda, and then your arguments. Here, marks. Again, I'm just following this. So we're creating a lambda function that will return the remarks. It is between pass and failed. It is pass if the marks is more than 67, otherwise it is failed. All right, so there you go. So that is our argument. Okay, marks. Now, because we have an if here, and as you can see, the condition marks greater than 67, if it is true, it will give pass. I mean, the value of rem will be pass, otherwise the value of rem will be failed. Okay, so I can use the what we call shorthand if here. All right, the shorthand if. Okay, the shorthand if is considered one expression. So remember, lambda function will always have one expression only. Okay, so since we have if statement here, we can have this one as something like shorthand if. I'm just going to use the shorthand if. Okay, so because it's possible, right? Because if this is true, it will just assign pass to rem, and then it will just assign failed, the string failed to rem. Right? So it is possible to use shorthand if here. So I'm just going to say print pass, all right, if marks is greater than 67, else, oops, wrong spelling, else print failed, as you can see. So this is what we call the shorthand if. Okay, so shorthand if is considered one expression. It may be long as something like this, but this one is still considered one expression. So that's the nice thing about shorthand if. Okay, so when we try to run now, let's say I'm going to call the function, right? So whatever is the return value, I'm going to print that. So print get remarks. Okay. So I'm going to say the marks inside will be, let's say, 80. Okay. There you go. So get remarks, let's call the get remarks function with one argument, and that is 80. Okay. So as you can see here. So let's try to run it. It should give us something like passed. Right? So it should print passed. Okay, so run. Okay, there you go. Okay, so it printed passed. Okay, again, as you can see, you may be wondering why we have print passed here and print failed here. So as you can see here, in our traditional function here, we assign to the variable rem the word pass if it is more than 67 and the word failed if it is below 67. All right? So we assign those values, no? So pass or fail to variable rem. But here we said print, or we put print, and we did not assign the rem. That is because in Lambda, you cannot assign a variable. You can just execute a computation, or you can just print, but not to assign a value. So in this case, we call the function lambda get remarks. It's the same like this here. It's the same principle for this traditional function here. It's just that this time we will just print. Okay, we will just print because we cannot assign. In Lambda, we cannot assign value to a variable. We can only print or we can only compute. So again, when we run this, it will give us the same thing, and that is to return the past value. Okay, so that's how it is. It is passed because it is more than 80. I mean, more than 67, right? So let's change this to, let's say, about, let's say, 50. So it should give us failed. As you can see, it's failed. Okay? And the reason why we have a none here, all right, because it is not returning a value. Okay? We are printing a value. Okay? We are printing this string. That's the reason why. All right? So there is no return value, but we are printing these values here. Okay? So one expression only. Okay? So it's going to be like that. So again, a lambda function can return. It has an automatic return, but if you don't have a return, you may print a value. All right? So it's like that. And the automatic return actually is none. Okay? If there is no return value. All right? So that's how it is. That's the explanation for that. So again, we created this traditional function, all right, user-defined function into a lambda function. So it will be something like this. All right. Now, let's have another one. Let's say we have this function here. Okay, another function here, this one here. So this is a function wherein it will have two parameters, meaning to say when we call this function, we will supply two arguments, and that is the amount and the percent. Okay, so meaning to say, as you can see in the program, return amount multiplied by percent divided by 100. That means it will compute for the percentage of a certain amount. Okay, so it will compute for the percentage of a certain amount. It will return the percentage of a certain amount. So as you can see here in the formula. Okay, so again, it's like this one here. All right, so let's make a lambda function of this one. So it is returning a one value, right? So again, okay, I'm just going to remarks this or put a hashtag for it to make it a comment or remarks. So let's make a lambda function of this. Let's convert this one to a lambda function. So I'm just going to say get percentage. Again, the syntax of a lambda function. First, you have to say the name of the function is equal to lambda, and then your argument. So amount, percent. Okay, you may have some space or no space between arguments, and then followed by colon, and then your expression. So it will be amount multiplied by percent divided by 100. Okay, so this is the lambda function of this statement. Okay, so let's try to run it. Since it will return only one value, so I can print that directly. All right, so I can just say print get percentage, right? It will have two parameters. So let's say the amount is 100 and I want 10% of this 100. So 10. Okay, so again, the functionality of the lambda function we created is that it will get the percentage of the amount that I'm going to specify. The amount that I'm going to specify is 100 and I want to compute the 10% of it. So we put 10 there. All right. So that's how it is. Okay, so based on this traditional function here, right? So again, the traditional function here, the lambda conversion of that is this one here. So let's try to run it now. I'm going to run it now here. There you go. It's 10. It's correct, right? 10% of 100 is 10. Okay. So if we say 50% of 100, that should give me 50. As you can see there. All right. So it's correct. Okay. So as you can see, again, the lambda function is very simple. All right. So all you need to do is to specify follow the syntax. Function name is equal to lambda, then your arguments, separate them by comma if it is more than one, followed by colon, and then your expression. Again, the expression here is an automatic return value. If there is no return value, it will just give you none. Okay? So in the expression, you may print a value or you may compute variables, all right? Or you can have any computation here. Okay, so as you can see here in our example, our expression here is a computation. Whatever is the result of this, it's a return value. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the traditional definition of user-defined function get percentage. So we converted this user-defined function get percentage into a lambda function here. Okay, so very simple syntax. It's very easy to remember. All right, so again, just always remember lambda function is a shortcut function. Okay, if you need a function that will have many arguments, more than one arguments, and then it will have only one expression. All right, and that expression may be return value, or you want to print something into that expression, then just use a lambda function. All right. So again, it can have many arguments, but it will only have one expression. And that expression may be a return value, right? Or in that expression, you will just print a value, or you will print a string, something like this, whatever it is. Just make sure it is always one expression. And so that is the lambda function. I hope you were able to learn something in this video. And if you like this video, please click the like button. And if you are not yet subscribed, please subscribe. And I'll see you on my next video.